All right. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Town of Coventry Economic Development Commission. It is January 18th at 6:36 p.m. Agenda item 1 is attendance, or 2, I should say, is attendance. So we will start. Jennifer Ludwig,
Here.
Tim Pimentel,
Here.
Erin Bosworth is here. So we have 3 people. Approval of minutes for November 30th of 2022. Unfortunately, was not distributed out to any of the members. So I will follow up with Joanne offline to distribute those meeting minutes along with tonight's meeting minutes following tonight's session. Any questions on that?
Chairperson Bosworth, I am taking some notes as you're talking, so I'll submit the minutes for tonight.
Okay. Oh, great. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to old business with all of the project updates. We can start with the CGI video. When we last spoke back in November, we hadn't heard anything, so Ben was going to reach out. As of today, an update is Jen had reached out via email to confirm and update all of the contacts with CGI. In addition, one of the requests was that CGI update the communications of anything that was previously recorded that had either a prior town manager or town council person potentially to just reshoot either that footage or update the text with whoever was speaking. So they did agree to that before release, and we're just waiting to hear back. And they have Ed's name as the interim town manager, as well as myself, to reach out to once they have a version ready. Go ahead, Jen.
So thank you, Chairperson Bosworth. So the good news is that they have the voiceovers that they can do in place of, for example, a person.
Mm-hmm.
So we asked for that feedback to say, hey, you know, people, elected officials, managers change over time. They had initially told us that it is natural that if someone's in the video, that in a 2-year span, they'll come back and either video that a new person or do whatever we want at that point. So I think we're trying to figure out what the best idea is. They'll definitely do the voiceover. And we just have to see what their draft product looks like, and that should be available in the coming weeks. So we can bring that back to the next meeting.
Great. Anything else on the CGI video? Okay. Agenda item number 4B is the community gift cards. Ben did send an email out that was going to reach out to them on that date. So 12/7. I did not see or hear anything back on that. I don't know if anybody here has a contact with that company that we can potentially follow up with. I'd be happy to follow up. If not, I can maybe go back through the minutes of when they actually presented to us and see if we can get the contact information, because I don't have anything that I know of.
I don't know it off the top of my head. So I think any of us can maybe go back and take a look. This is one of those items that I think we needed a little bit of town admin support on. And right now, I just don't think we're going to get that based off of having an interim manager. This isn't at the top of the priority list.
Yeah.
So what I would like to do is, Erin, if you're Chairperson Bosworth, if you're able to reach out to them and just understand, hey, what is it that you actually need from the town? I can bring it back and I'll go over it with interim manager Wazika.
Okay.
And see whether he or someone else at the town level can help us. If you're able to kind of reach out and just find out what it is that's actually needed.
Yep.
And then I also wanted to, oh, come on up. Yeah, come on up. So we'll just show that the minutes will reflect that Dr. Dicubellis joined us at 6:40. This, I just want to put on people's radar because we're going to talk about possible budget 2023 items coming up here. This is one of those items that had we had someone, just this is my personal opinion, had we had someone at town hall who was helping manage, similar programs to this, could have probably taken this on quite easily and got it finished for us in time for the holiday season. But there's really nobody here to do that. So we can talk more about that possibility in the budget section.
Okay. Okay. Anything to add on the gift cards?
So just looking back at some of my printouts, it looks like it was on the agenda for, why am I not seeing a date on this one? And so in August, it was on the agenda, but I don't have, and then I wrote next to it, I took note September. So, and of course I don't have September's minutes, but
Yes.
that's any help to you.
Thank you.
So,
September, we talked about it again and Ben was going to follow up. And then I
Okay.
reached out to Ben and he said he was going to follow on December 7th.
Got you.
He
Okay.
confirmed that he was going to follow up with them that day, but I'm not sure what transpired since then.
okay. I was just trying to find the name of the company. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, welcome. You too. All right. Agenda item 4C, the business survey. Jen, do you have any updates?
So we had previously voted on putting the survey forward. I just had to update the tax rates. I did have a printed copy and you might, I think Erin has a printed copy, Dr. Dicubellis. I did, before we asked the IT director to post this on the website. Yeah, same thing. Before we asked anything to be posted on the website, I'll definitely just make sure that interim manager Wazika is aware that we previously voted on this. I did want to suggest that we maybe just get a little feedback in terms of how long we want the survey up. So if we're able to get it up and say the next week, would we want to either put a close date on it or, just something that kind of helps say, hey, answer this by such and such date when I send it in. Because now, let me just see what the date is right now. So it is 18 January. We get it posted the next week. We could do like a month for feedback. So February 28th, just do 1 month, something like that.
Will there be any other plans to socialize it anywhere else, or is it just say as people might find it themselves?
So
Is there like a town Facebook page?
yes, there's a town Facebook page. So I would talk with the manager and director Houghton about putting it on the Facebook page and also putting, I don't know if you've seen this in the past. We've done certain surveys that you can put like a link at the top of the homepage, coventryri.org. And then also you can put a little section in the news, like it updates the latest article item. So we can put it there. And then we'd probably ask for some help from our people here, and we could forward it to the counselors and other people to ask for some help in getting the word out. I did want to ask if, so I'll note the February 28th date. I did want to ask if there's anything else we might want to put in here, because we're right at the beginning of budget season. And so there might be an opportunity to add in 1 or 2 more questions, maybe about what would you like to see the EDC do this year, or something budget related. Would you be interested in voting to approve a budget that had someone in an economic development chair position, something like that? But I wanted to see what, if any, appetite there was before we made any changes to what was already agreed.
So a couple of things. So I think 30 days is fine, especially, knowing that we have other channels to post through, and I'll certainly, do it both from my individual page, and I think we're probably all on the largest town, smallest, whatever page. So yeah, I think that's good. And then I'm also interested or I would back the suggestion. I think it's at 9 questions now. So, 10 is still a good number, because we want people to be able to do it quickly. But I think I would be interested in a town economic development position. So, while we're all here trying to make a difference, the nature of what we're doing here, I think would be much more beneficial if there was someone, on staff that could carry forward, different ideas and different, sort of advisory type things that we come up with. So that way it's not just on, the current interim manager and the future manager and et cetera. So I think that would provide our group and other committees a direct conduit, to do action.
We could turn that to keep it nice and easy, to say 10 questions, that's it. Rather than 11 questions, that's it. Like, we could combine a little bit. We could say, would you see value in approving a budget that had this type of on-staff position, and or what other types of things would you like to see in the budget for economic development for this upcoming fiscal year? Okay.
I'd be in favor of that. Again, it's a good opportunity for us to, get any feedback at this point. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the idea of combining it. I don't want to lose sight of maybe other ideas or opportunities we might have. So leaving that in there is, what else can the EDC do? To build on the EDC person, I would like to see us help support, build that position out, because I think it goes well beyond what we're able to accomplish here. In terms of the benefit it could bring, right? I know in some of the upcoming agenda items, we update on the public information on businesses in Coventry, or email lists, and all of those types of things that we've talked about as being critical to our communication and success that we continue to fail at. How do we bring all of those things in to that one position?
And it doesn't have to be just 10 questions. I was just saying it's a round number, but 11, 12, it's fine.
I can kind of combine it so that it's like a free format that says, or other ideas that you have that the EDC can bring forward.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like the standalone question of, would you be supportive of a paid physician? Because that's a yes, no answer. And, hopefully we get the results that we'd like. And, that can be used to bring forth to the town council and to approve, hey, the community is backing this idea. And not to dilute it, from those. So as I'm saying, if we have to go 11, 12 questions to get a few of those things, I think that's fine.
We could do
It's important.
10 questions plus an open comment section. And that section could then just be, what else would you like to see the EDC focus on, or any other comments or feedback that you might have?
I like the open comment section. I'll make a note of that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get that updated and get it over to interim manager Wazika and Director Houghton.
Perfect. Next up, we have the story walk, and for that, one of the actions from the previous meeting was for Jen and myself to meet with Megan in the library to discuss how we can potentially work together and partner on the project. So we did meet, and Megan was very excited about the opportunity to do this. She did show me some images of some story walks that the library has sponsored in the past. But they were like the like ones you stake in the ground. So not sustainable long term. So seeing something like this where maybe we would be investing in stationery that we can continue to update, she was really excited about. She said that the library would probably be able to commit to changing it out quarterly, the books. And they would be comfortable, what we estimate the books at when you look online to purchase them for the story walks specifically. It's about $100 each book. So she said that they could sponsor funding that. So we went through, we looked at the books that are commonly used for story walks. We looked at the average number of pages for the books, and we estimate that it's probably best to do 20 signs, 20 of the stationary signs. I went out to 3 vendors to request quotes that are known for doing the story walk signs specifically. 2 of them have gotten back to me. So I have those 2 quotes here. One of them is Vacker Signs. They do these, some pricing. We have 2 options. Essentially, we have the wood post, which for 20 of them would be $4,200. For the aluminum post for 20 of them, it would be $5,440. They were the cheapest out of the 3 options. One of the options is like the original company that started Storywalk, and they're very expensive from what they showed online. We have the option to purchase the signs. Megan had some great ideas about how we can potentially either incorporate something like the Boy Scouts to either help install the signs, or even maybe they have an option, or maybe we have an option through like the tech program at the high school to build the signs. I did reach out to the Boy Scouts. I haven't heard back. So I don't know if that's something that they could do or not. Go ahead, Jen.
There may also be some internal options we could look at. Yeah, I was going to say DPW puts signs up. Parks and Rec puts signs up. For example, we're going to contract them soon for another piece of legislation that, or I guess I should say an ordinance that was put through earlier this year. So there may be some additional options there that we could look at internally. So could you just go over that one more time on the Vacker signs? So those are signs that could be used over and over again, or they just stay up all year long? How does that work?
They stay up all year long. They can be used out for anything. So some of the things that they mention on their website is they have a lot of nature walk and themed signs as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a story. How it works, and I can share this with you guys, but how it works is the bottom of the sign just pops off and you're able to insert the correct size of the whatever you want on there. So for instance, this one's all about animals, and you can go looking and exploring for animals if we wanted to invest in one of the times being like a nature walk versus a story walk. So there's a bunch of different options. Pricing wise, there's you have the option for the frames to sit angled or straight up and down. When you're thinking, it's the same price. So keep that in mind, other than the aluminum, that's the highest one for it to be up and down. When you think of a story walk, I'm assuming we're going to be reading as you're walking, right? Angled is probably a better approach. So it really comes down to the wood post or the aluminum. You know, where we have the budget, I say we should probably consider investing in the aluminum. Considering it's only about $1,200 difference. Depending on who would install, I think that we'd want to get agreement beforehand, because they also have optional mounts. So if you want to either put it into the ground, or they have like a surface mount that we may want to consider as well. So I think talking to whoever might be installing these prior to purchase would be an important step that we'd want to make.
So since our group doesn't have a formal budget,
No, we do.
We do.
oh, we do for this.
I think we have 10,000.
Okay, perfect. All right, I wasn't sure of that. Okay, great. Okay, I agree on the aluminum. I mean, just it'll last longer, and unfortunately, I work in a public building that everything gets vandalized. Yeah, it'll be a bit more sturdy. But that's great. I mean, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. So, just to talk about the process a little bit for utilizing those funds. We don't have a specific process set up for EDC, but we had a somewhat similar situation that last year I set up a process for the Historic Preservation Commission to use. So they have a budget, and basically we just outlined some steps that said, whatever you'd like to do, you get the details worked out in your committee, you vote on what to use the money on, you go out and you get vendor confirmation on the estimates. You submit everything to for historic preservation that was going to go through like Director Durfee and the manager. But on this side, we would go directly to the manager. So I'm assuming we would take some similar next steps there. I have a feeling that actually, let me back up one moment. We were asked as counselors approximately a week ago not to expend any non-operating budget items, meaning keep the lights on. If it's not keep the lights on, can we hold off while they work out the finance department? So I have a feeling we have a little time on this because it doesn't feel like an urgent request. Is that right?
Right.
So maybe we can talk about what are some next steps that we could help put together, almost like the natural questions we'll get asked, like where would these be placed? Who have you talked to about the install? I can probably chat with Mr. Wazika and see if we can reach out. So the DPW director, and I believe is still out, but we may be able to contact Raina, Director Blumenthal. So I can help reach out on that piece just to look at some install options. If we want to put together just some background, like what is the library going to do versus what are we going to do? What are our funds going to go towards? Who's going to run this thing? Like almost like a mini business case.
Yeah.
I think that'll aid in getting sign off on using the funds.
So I will work on that aspect of the business case. In my conversations with Megan, the child librarian in the library would be the one that would own this. She's the one that helped to support the story walks previously. Again, it was all temporary solutions, but they committed to being able to support it on a quarterly basis, being able to swap out the stories. We even talked about potentially, as we're getting the stories printed, maybe we have the option of putting like sponsored by the Coventry Public Library or something like that would help to promote that the library is the one that's helping to support it. So I would suggest that we would invest from the EDC the posts and signs, as well as maybe the first story, depending on when we purchase it. And then the library can potentially add the other stories for the next fiscal year.
And I'm so sorry, it's been so long since we talked about the story walk that I just wanted to confirm. I thought I remembered we talked about maybe one of the, I don't know if it's like on a quarterly basis or whatever, but one of the either stories or things that we do, we might reach out to some local businesses, not necessarily to sponsor, but to, like, if they get through the entire walk, you get 10% off it wherever, something like that.
So that we did I do have some ideas for the Hidden Gem project, which we can talk about next. I didn't consider any of that for the story walk. The idea behind the story walk was really that people would just come to participate and that would bring people in. But I do like the idea. I don't know how we,
I might be getting them mixed up too. So maybe we can go through Hidden Gem, and that's what I'm thinking of.
okay.
Should we, before we move on, potentially to the next item, should we talk about location?
Yeah.
Because I'm, again, it's been a while and
Yeah.
I don't remember. I know we talked about it, but I don't remember the details. Sorry.
So my original thought and what I talked to Megan about in the library is we'd want it to be close to the library. They're the ones that are going to be owning it. Through the Story Walk website, the proposal or the original design of them was that every so many feet, there's a post with a page, right? So total in length is about a half a mile. We can expand beyond that and do more than that half a mile range. Maybe we do a mile range, but to me, that's something we'll have to consider when we finalize, is 20 signs exactly what we want to go with? How far apart should they be? My suggestion is that we do it on the bike path closest to the library. Whether that be a starting point, ending point, doesn't make a difference to me, but
I was ironically thinking the same exact thing.
okay.
Because it's easy for them and you have existing infrastructure.
Parking.
It's safe parking. Yeah. So, okay.
Would the signs be posted along the path on the side, just kind of on?
Yeah.
Stop out, have a read.
Yep. That's how it is in other ones I've seen. I've done 2 of them in East Greenwich, and that's how they were. Is they just along the path. Okay. So I will forward Jen you the Vacker Signs quote that I got that shows the posts in the options, so that way you can see them out. So if you're going to work with Parks and Rec to see if it's something that they can install, or at least have an example. The one in East Greenwich I did was walking paths. Behind there, they have a senior center off Frenchtown Road and right across the street from the Frenchtown Elementary School. And they have a path over there. It's a really nice path too. So the Hidden Gem project is another one that we have spent some time talking about. I reached out, so this started, Block Island does Hidden Orbs, and then Smithfield this past spring had launched a Hidden Apple project that was sponsored by their Economic Development Committee. So this was something that we started to talk about, and I reached out to the manufacturer that makes the orbs for Block Island. I did not hear back. However, he does have a website, so I went on that, and to have orbs made, they're $30+ per orb to have them made. I decided to go onto Amazon and try to see if there was anything that we could potentially use. So for me, when I think of Coventry, I think of the tree over by like the soccer complex that everybody talked about. I know it's potentially being knocked down or whatever, but so I saw this, which again, tree, Coventry, I don't know, as an idea. Doesn't have to be anything we use, but it was something Amazon had. It was $16.99. So I think it's within our price range. If it was something we wanted to proceed with, we can obviously explore other options. This is just like a paperweight. So the idea is that we would pick maybe 1, 2, 3 paths in Coventry. One I can think of is the one on Sandy Bottom, right? There's that walking path. You hide them along the path. The idea would then be that individuals would be able to search the trees, search the things for the crystal trees, and then they would get to keep it. Along those lines, we could also potentially ask local businesses to sponsor. We would keep track of these, so we would have to find a way to put like a serial number or something on them. If an individual finds one and registers it, they could potentially get a gift card or a discount at one of the local businesses. This would give us an opportunity to see, is the project successful? 2, it would give us an opportunity to see how many orbs are still out there. And then also it brings the local business aspect in. I'm thinking like if we could get businesses to donate a $10 gift card, for instance, anybody who comes in and gets one, it's putting them back out to spend more money in the community. They get to keep the orb. They keep the orb. It's something that we invest in the EDC, something that we can continue to hopefully do year after year. It'll continue to grow and hopefully give everybody something to look forward to. The idea is that we ask, again, we'd want to give the community, the seeker, something to look forward to. So if they register it, then they would get maybe a gift card. Mhm. Exactly. Yeah. Maybe they'd get a $10 gift card to Black Oak, or, I'd be happy to go around and try to work with businesses to see who would help sponsor us. So I did create a little,
And I'm sorry, the
Flyer.
sponsorship would just be in the form of like a gift card or whatever.
could be a gift card or I would think.
Or
again, we
discount.
want people to register, which I think would be nice because we'd be able to see if it's successful, right? I think if you just say a discount, it might not be as appealing.
But basically it's in the form of the business by being a sponsor. Like they could say, okay, you get a free something or
Mhm.
whatever. And then that's okay.
Yep. Yeah, of course.
So. I'm wondering if I'm wondering if there's a opportunity to utilize I don't know what we're calling them, stationery or the posts in a similar manner. So for example, say rather than ordering 20, we order 23 and you put 3 of them around 3 different paths or something. Maybe we confirm with the land trust or the conservation, whoever, on which paths we think that they would get some travel on. And that way it would also cut down on some of the marketing needed so that when someone goes on the trail and they see this thing that says, hey, if you find this hidden gem, register it. And then, for example, that could help cut down on the amount of social media traffic and stuff that we have to manage because it would be right there on the trail. And then we could just opt to quarterly or whatever, put the new orbs out.
I love that idea.
So it almost feels like a dual win. Yeah. Like come to Coventry, Story Walk, Hidden Gem,
Yes.
something like that.
These have gotten a lot. There's like a whole social media presence and groups where people, I actually have a friend that's going to Ohio over February break to look for orbs. Like there's a whole group that's like really big into this type of thing. So I think for what we can potentially do for, not a lot of money, if we were to invest in the beginning, just for 150 of these, it's $2,500, right? Small amount of marketing. I feel like it's really worth it.
So this is, I think, very similar to Story Walk follow-ups. We probably want to put the business case together, this, just thinking, because
Yeah, we've just,
we would,
nope. So actually, one of the things that Block Island and Smithfield both did in their communications, the idea was one, and again, you can't hold everybody to this, but one orb per seeker per year. And if you find more than one along the way, you can either leave it or hide it again, hide it somewhere else. It's, you know, it's up to the person to decide. Yeah. So that's something we can consider in terms of the process. So
so I don't know if people want to think about this or how we kind of want to move forward. This, because we don't have a partnership with, say, the library or an internal resource right now. I don't know if it's worth consideration and kind of combining like a 2-for-1 because we're using some similar resources, or Coventry's kind of version of, you know, these beloved events in other locations. Like what do you think would be kind of the right next step for this one?
So, I mean, we need approval to spend the funds, but beyond that, I guess I don't know what else we would need other than a social media post. To me, then it becomes up to us in the community, right? If we as the EDC, to me, I look at it like this would be something the EDC would be sponsoring, right? So we buy the orbs, but I mean, we can also go out and hide them or put on a Microsoft form to get them to submit it. You know, I guess I don't see the big need for a lot of extra support on this one.
I think if we can just outline that would be helpful.
Sorry, question. So I'm interested in knowing more about, you know, like how often do the other communities rehide them? Like, I think, so I'm definitely interested in, you know, participating and supporting the project directly. So I'm putting that out in public record already, but yeah, like, is it at once a month? Like, you know, whatever. So I'd be interested in seeing kind of like how other towns do it, getting those details. With or without that, again, I'm generally very supportive of the idea, and again, would love to help hide the orbs.
Yeah. So it's an annual thing. Block Island puts theirs out at like the May timeframe, right before like summer's gonna hit. And they hide them all over the island. Smithfield, for instance, does it right before apple season, and theirs is to get people to go to the apple orchards and all of that type of thing. So it's annually. I would expect us obviously probably to follow suit, do it more in the spring timeframe. It makes sense. People have been cooped up all winter, want to get them out and walking and into the town. So for me, it would be something similar. Annually, we would request it in the annual budget every year, something that we can make recurring. And
So Tim, do you and Aaron want to kind of put the business case around this?
Happy to help. Yeah, just tell me what you need. So, I mean, it sounds like you've gotten most of it, but yes.
Okay, cool. And it sounds like I'm just taking meeting notes here. It sounds like we're shooting for May.
Well, depending on, you know, sort of the approval to spend some money, you know, yes, right?
the one thing to note in terms of timing is if this particular one was an orb we decide to go with, Amazon, you can only purchase 30 at a time. I don't know if that would wipe out stock and we'd have to wait for them to restock before we could order more. Smithfield, for instance, for the apples, they did do 150 for their first year. I think that's a good place to start, especially given the paths that we have in Coventry and where we have the potential to hide these. So
There may be, again, depending on how Amazon lists it, and you may actually have it right there. You
Yeah.
may actually find a manufacturer. And then what I've done is you just cut out Amazon and go directly to the manufacturer, say, hey, if we needed 150 of these. And believe it or not, sometimes it's even a little bit less expensive.
Yeah.
Depending on the item, even though Amazon has buying power, if you're going to cut out the middleman and buy 150, sometimes they work with you. Just a suggestion.
That's a great idea.
Or if you want to send that to me, I'll be happy to do that whole exercise. It's up to you.
Yeah. Completely up to you. I mean, does anybody have any pure hatred for this as an option?
It sounds cool.
I mean, we are the okers, so
Right.
gotta go with the
It's it,
tree.
Right? Yeah.
It's either that or maybe an acorn, right?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I kind of like the tree.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it on the hidden gem.
That's it. That's a lot. Thank you.
Any other questions or feedback on that before we move on to the summer bash? Okay. So summer bash, during our last meeting, we talked about, we had submitted a request over for ARPA funds to support something like this. At the time, Ben had communicated that Parks and Rec was also trying to see about planning a community event. So he was going to reach out. Obviously, since then, I'm assuming everybody has maybe seen the communication that came out from Parks and Rec where they have something planned on June 26th, I believe it is, the week before the 4th, where they're planning fireworks off of Lake Tioga with vendors and food trucks and all of that. So for me, I think that at least for now, we can probably consider this a closed topic. I don't know if Parks and Rec are going to try to request funds to duplicate this every year, or if it's going to be kind of like a one and done for them. And it's something we should continue to try to see, but
Economic development side, the opportunity that day, or I don't know if there's just one day, one off event.
yes,
During that day to get vendors and the challenge. Something business over that. If they're committed, or they want to.
I think they are planning for.
Yeah, so
participation.
Chairperson Bosworth. So this is going to be Saturday, June 24th. And off their Facebook page, off Parks and Recs, it says fireworks, food trucks, kids fun zone, and special music guest Billy Gilman.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Billy Gilman, yeah.
If I can just make one other comment. So I would also feel comfortable kind of putting this to the side for right now because they seem to have the person power to make this happen. And it looks like the funding, and if they don't have the funding, they committed to the council, they'd come back and request a small amount of ARPA funds for this. So I would feel comfortable putting this aside for EDC for right now. Kind of similar with RFP. So we put that forward. There's not been any agreement on amounts to disperse for ARPA. And again, we tried to do that at the council level approximately a week or so ago, and we're asked not to make any non-everyday business operating expenses out of the accounts yet. So maybe we consider this at a different time. But I think I would be comfortable putting this one aside for a couple months as well.
Okay.
Chairperson, Bosworth. So just to add to that, so I agree with Jen Ludwig on that, but I wasn't aware of that event, so thank you for sharing that. And was it on their Parks and Recs page specifically? Okay, I'm
It was also posted to several other social media
Okay.
sites
okay. Well,
within Coventry.
I'm clearly not on the right pages, or I got to do something to see those pages more often. But anyway, and yeah, so I did want to point out, I guess if nothing else, so I mean, I did speak in favor of both of these items. I know, Councilperson Ludwig knows because she was there. And the doctor was there as well. So I'm really happy that they're running with it. So and same for the RFP. So I know we haven't gotten one that yet, but yeah, I'm actually staring at my speech that I wrote. So if I need to come back to the council again and beg, I will.
So one last comment on the summer bash. So just for anybody who happens to watch this in the future, over the last 2 years, there's been multiple steps for multiple people in this community that I believe have contributed positively to getting this event up and running. For example, it dates back to during the pandemic, Parks and Rec budget was decimated. We couldn't do things in person. It made sense at the time. We instituted the budget to, in essence, refill that tank. The citizens came forward, the taxpayers, and said, yes, I want to approve this budget. Director Blumenthal has heard the requests for these types of events from this council over the last 2 years, the Economic Development Commission putting things forward. She was there the night that we presented the EDC ARPA item. Manager Marchant heard from myself and other counselors who said, we want to try and find an event. And then it's a little bittersweet. There was some, because a position hadn't been filled in Parks and Rec, my understanding is that's where Raina is using some of the, Director Blumenthal is using some of the funds from. So I really see this as kind of lots of people contributing positively in this way. And then Director Blumenthal and her department really taking it by the reins and being able to execute. So a big thank you to her. To your earlier point, Dr. Dickie-Bellis, I don't know if there's anything we can do to offer help, but we could always reach out just to say, hey, we're just interested to see if you might need something that we might be able to provide. I can give you Director Blumenthal's email if you maybe just want to reach out on behalf of EDC. Yeah.
If I may make maybe a suggestion to that, to add to that, I should say is, I mean, at a bare minimum, whether it's a formal letter from this group, to town management and or the council to support future events, I know it's not really a motion or anything, but I think we should be prepared to, send a letter that we all sign saying like, this is the sort of stuff, that we can begin, to go down some of the paths that we've been talking about as a committee for a year now. So just throwing that out there.
I'd be open to signing something like that.
Okay. Agenda item 4G is around the RFP, which I think we've noted already that this will be put on hold, at least for now. A couple of reasons is Craig is not here and his action was to do some research, as well as we are aware that the ARPA funds have been requested to be held off for now until further notice. So anything else on that before we move on to the comp plan? Okay. So agenda item number 5 is the comprehensive plan, specifically the economic growth chapter. There was two actions around this. The first was for Ben to send out a soft copy of the current version, even though it wasn't finished, and he did. We all received that email on December 6th. The second action was for the EDC to review that plan and come to this meeting prepared to provide any suggested edits. So we'll open the floor to see if anybody had an opportunity to review and or if there's any suggested edits. I'm not sure if it's even applicable anymore or if this comp plan has already been submitted or closed. I don't know what the status is.
So I did follow up with Director Durfee. I want to say Friday, just to see if there was an updated version because they submit all these in stages back to the beta group, and he's supposed to get back to me this week about what sections have been updated. He did say that anything that has gone through that review process is on the comp plan website right now. So if you go to coventryri.org and then on the menu options, click on comp plan, you can actually see the updated versions there. So he will get back to us about when that EDC section will also get updated, but just as a heads up, and I think Director Houghton has this up right now. So you see the links on that. It says basically shows the drafts of things that are being submitted, anything that's coming up. Director Hoffman, can you just scroll up just a tiny bit to see the meeting dates? So these are all the upcoming public meeting dates. Some of them are on Zoom, some are in person. And there's also a feedback link that you can put feedback directly on the website.
Oh, cool.
On the right-hand side, general feedback. So you can literally, whether it's about EDC or anything else, send it in and it'll go on the record that you've supplied this type of feedback.
So I mean, we can obviously discuss anything, but my suggestion is that we use that feedback link to submit anything that we have.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. So would we rather just approach it that way versus
That would
getting
be my
together and discuss?
suggestion,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Anybody disagree with that?
Nope, I don't know.
It might be good if you mention you're on EDC, just for Director Durfee's benefit. But you don't have to. I believe there's an anonymous option, but it might be helpful. And I will come back to the group once I hear back this week about when that EDC section is going to be sent back in draft from beta as well.
Okay. Any other feedback, thoughts, or anything on old business before we move on to new business? Okay. So next up is item number 6, remit and goals. This was broken down into 4 parts. The first being discussion on ideas of the mission and goals of the EDC.
Chairperson Bowser, admittedly, I did not have time to put some thoughts together. I did want to mention that we do have 3 people who submitted an EDC application. This commission is overseen by the town manager. We have an interim town manager right now. So we might want to consider maybe making 1 appointment, maybe not all of those. But it might be good since it looks like we're going to have someone literally for our next meeting. Maybe we bring the ideas to the next meeting since, we'll have it. It's not a huge group here. So
Right.
to start the discussion now and then have the same discussion next month, I don't know if we want to spend the time that way.
I agree with that. I also didn't have an opportunity to look at that item. So. Okay. So that'll be on the agenda for the next meeting. Next up was update on obtaining public information on businesses in Coventry from the Secretary of State. So this was an action that I had taken to try to reach out and see if we could get a list of the businesses. Very quickly, to my surprise, we actually did. So we received the list the very next day from the state, which was great. We have a contact now. So that was forwarded to Ben at the time on 12/7. They do not maintain, so an important note is that they do not maintain email addresses or phone numbers for the businesses. Which then makes it somewhat difficult for us. However, having the list of businesses, I think, is a starting point. And my question is, what do we do with this now? We've talked about this being a need since we've joined the EDC. Our first meeting, we had a lot of in-depth discussion on how much we needed this. And now that we have it, it's like, what do we do? To me, it is a starting point. I think that we could build up the email addresses right now that we have the list of businesses. But is that something that we can do, or do we need to continue to push and see if we can get somebody hired within the town to support this?
So, can I just ask a general question? So did you actually see the list?
Mhm. I sent it to you as well.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Nope, that's okay.
I didn't see it. Did you just have a general sense? Is it like 1,000 businesses? Is it 10,000 businesses?
I can pull it up here. It was a lot.
The reason I'm asking is, so CGI for the video did ask if we had anything. This might be at least a starting point for them also to maintain that partnership with us, since we basically gave them nothing. So it's like, might be an incentive for them to finish the video, send it in.
Yeah, so there's 1,260 that are listed. The information we have, which is really good, is we have the entity name. We have the date of the organization. We have their business address. We have an NAICS code. I don't know if anybody knows. I don't know what that means. Okay.
Business, breaks businesses into categories.
Okay. And then we have the purpose, which it looks like is broken down into categories. So example is real estate transactions, nursery, operating a childcare center. So there's a purpose in this list as well, which might give us some direction. Or this was as of 12/7.
So considering there are not contact details on there, I'm assuming that's probably because they don't want to have to maintain, the details of that at the state level and then have to update it and whatever. So I think we could probably send that over to CGI. And
It's certainly better than nothing.
yeah, it's definitely better than nothing. And then it might be helpful for them. So I did give your email address and Mr. Rosica's as our two kind of points of contact for the CGI person. Are you comfortable forwarding that on?
Yeah, I can absolutely take that action.
I'm not sure exactly what we would do with the list right now, either outside the CGI item. Maybe that's something we can think about.
So ideally, I would love to see it on the website. I don't know what information can be published, but to me, it's something that we had a business directory option originally.
You do it. I'm thinking about this survey that you mentioned. It was a way to invite them online and finish it off.
That's exactly what I was gonna say is they can register.
We could do a mailer. I mean, there's a cost and certainly someone's going to stuff envelopes 1,260 times, but I mean, like you said, it's a key first step. As you guys know, I've been a big proponent of data. You know, we need to have this information. So, so first of all, thank you for getting it. And second of all, it's a very important first step.
The nice mailer, it's called
And it could be multi-purpose. We could actually put the survey in there, you know, or at least a link, you know, go to this website and we'd love to hear from you. Please fill out this 10 or 11, 12 question survey. But yeah, just having that list is, I think, key. And I'm sure if any one of us were to flip through the list, you know, we're going to see names, you know, that we're familiar with.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, and the power of your cell phone. I mean, just, you know, type in a business's name and their website and phone number comes right up, you know, so we could plug away.
The QR code.
Pops up there.
Yes.
Quick answer. It's hassle.
I mean, any Microsoft form, you can just have the QR code available
Right.
as an option. So
Yeah. And they have the QR code makers now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's great. Yeah, my mind is racing with ideas, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. So we'll just leave it at that.
So, Director Houghton. So I know we had a business directory in the past, but it only had like five businesses. Yeah. So only had like a handful of businesses. Do you happen to remember, did the business contact us to put that on there or did some?
Basically, they have, I mean, the report, then they have, I mean, get there, they kind of work on advertising. This is on the list. But yeah, we had maybe 5. But I think we have a bigger social media presence than advertising. You know, on the
So if we were, I'm just trying to figure out how to maybe do it in some manageable steps. If we were to, because the website is so basic right now that we're using. So for example, if we were to have a branch under EDC and say business directory, and we put it back in and we put this list that we've got from the Secretary of State website. And then we say something like email, you know, interim town manager Wazeek or whoever, with the contact update. We'll update it on the site for you, something like that. Interesting.
Question, if I may. So, maybe a little devil's advocate. I mean, obviously, they're on this list, but does there need to be sort of an opt-in even to be listed? I don't, it might be a question for, yeah, same. I feel like it's public information as well, but I don't know if it's a simple question we could ask someone in the legal department. Like, you know, I just wouldn't want to get ourselves in trouble and make any assumptions.
say any of the contact information, we shouldn't. Like, I'm assuming if you were to give your email address to the town for business communication purposes, you wouldn't want it published because I want to email you about an appointment I want at your, right? I can go on and
That's what I'm
assuming
saying.
there's some information
So-
we shouldn't.
I'm guessing there's an opt-in of some way. It's, you know, we do, we're at the airport, we do newsletters, you know, and we're constantly scrubbing our list. People, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. Yeah, I'm asking from an I don't know perspective. I just
I
want to be
have
clear on that.
the solicitor's email I can send to you, Chairperson Bosworth. Maybe we can just direct a question and say, hey, this was public information off Secretary of State website. Can we post it on ours with, and just in an opt-in if they'd like to update their contact information?
Yep.
So to be clear, so we want to make sure that it's okay to post the list as is, but then if we wanted them being businesses to include more than what's listed, i.e. email and phone, that would be sort of an opt-in. Is that correct? It's like a two-part question.
Yes. So for
Okay.
example, I was listening to what you said, like maybe put on the survey. So for example, if we can get an answer from legal in the next week, we can take, because we already have the list of businesses, we can send that to Director Houghton and Mr. Wazika and ask them to create that new branch with this on it.
Okay.
And then we can include that in the survey link when we put it out.
Okay, great. I think it's a great idea. I just don't want to get in trouble.
Well, that's why Aaron's sending the email and not me.
As a
I like to do it and then we can ask for forgiveness later. Okay. Next up was the budget suggestions for 2023. I know we discussed potentially some new members and where there's a smaller group. I don't know if that this is another item that maybe we want to consider tabling until the next meeting to discuss more.
I'd like to understand the timing, right? So
Yeah.
Great point.
I'm actually getting ready to go into my budget season at work. So yeah, working backwards. So, when would be, and then certainly, having Councilperson Ludwig on our committee, sort of, the best time, right? Or when do we submit these requests and that kind of stuff. So I'd like to just know the process a bit better from a timing perspective. But Chairperson Bosworth, your suggestion I think is also good. I don't think we make any decisions or even come up with any suggestions at this point until we potentially have another member. But again, I'd love to talk about like timing, if possible.
So we're in the budget season right now. There were some very loose projections, meaning that for our charter, we have to meet with the town council and the school committee have to meet at least once by year end for the upcoming fiscal year. So there were some very loose numbers put out there just to say, hey, we're looking at this. We've started this process. There was a budget calendar that was put out. I don't have it on me, but I can share what that is. Just generally speaking, we need to get a request in soon. So one thing I would say is there may be a few approaches to this. We can vote on it next time. I'm not suggesting we do that tonight, but one way to think about this process is we were allotted $10,000 in last year's budget. We may need to explain a little bit about what we're going to use that money for. And it's almost like either use it or you lose it kind of thing. And then we need to say what we think we should get for the upcoming budget. That fiscal year is July 1st. So this budget year ends June 30th. So in essence, the upcoming budget is there's a new budget process this year that the voters voted in. So for example, where we used to, as a town, vote annually on the budget, the councilors, if we can get a supermajority, will approve a budget. If we can't get a supermajority, then the proposed budgets go to the voters. But either way, you end up with an approved budget in May. So if you count back from May, I would say we probably want to have confirmed from the members what we want in that budget and at least get an email to the rest of the council to say, this is what we're asking for. We'd be happy to come present an open session if needed, but at least an email right after our next meeting. Even if all we're asking for is status quo and say, we'd
Okay.
like to retain this budget. Here are some things that we're going to use it towards.
Thank you for that. That's very helpful. So next meeting will not be like critically late.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Um,
I won't hold you to it, but
yeah, I
I
don't
feel like
think so.
you're the best person to speak on it. So thank you.
Okay.
The progress, if you get that email, for the Parks and Rec.
Yeah, for Director, I'll send it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doctor. Take care.
We are almost through as well. The next item was in regards to the 2023 meeting schedule. Ben did provide that as well. I can go back and find it and re-forward. Oh, you have it. Okay, perfect. So again, if we're going to be adding new members, I don't know that us three, to me, we've already agreed it was the third Wednesday of the month at 6:30.
Does that coincide with the dates listed? Let's just take a quick.
I didn't cross-reference it. Yeah, we can.
So
I mean, yeah.
18th, February 15th. Yeah, these are the third. March 15th. Yeah, these are the third Wednesdays.
Okay.
So I don't think we have to vote on this because the agenda doesn't say vote, number one, but number two, even on the website, it's listed that we're the third Wednesday. So I agree. Maybe we just hold off on a quote unquote vote until we get the next member.
Sounds good.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not about me, but I mean, there's one conflict down here for me, but I'm fine either way. So.
Okay.
Next agenda item, I don't know if this is even applicable anymore. I think it actually might be completed potentially.
The bridge construction.
Yeah,
So I reached out to Craig on this to get a little more information on who he's talking to. He told me a state representative, but I didn't understand, is that at literally the state level? Like, is that a George Nardone or is that, I don't know. So I'm trying to get a little information from Craig
okay,
and then we can figure out what to do with this.
okay. I thought this work was already completed though.
So this is actually, or at least my understanding from what Craig told me, is that this is upcoming construction, either to replace or fix the bridge that's in, the old Penn store, Garland.
Yeah,
It's between there and the
right.
Diversified Auto or Dunkin'
Yeah.
Donuts, that little bridge strip. So I don't know if it's fully being, or do you already know?
I
that
thought
what you're
that they
planning?
already rerouted traffic and all.
Well, so
Or
that's
is
the
that
thing.
something different?
I think that's Sandy. So I think Sandy Bottom Road.
No.
This is a different one.
Yeah,
Well, let's put it this way. That's the only way I can get here. So it was open tonight. So
So,
yeah.
so his concern was that there was talk that it may be turned into a one-way.
Okay.
But I said, I just need a little more information before I can kind of figure this out. And also the DPW director has been out, but he usually is very close to those write-out projects happening in Coventry. So when he's back, I can also ask him. So when I get a little more information, I'd be happy to bring that back.
okay, perfect.
So just to add to that, some months ago, we had talked about, and I obtained RIDOT's plans and that wasn't in it. So it must be something new that came up,
Maybe from ARPA funding or something. I don't know.
perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know.
Perhaps it got, moved up from a funding. Okay.
Okay. Cody, do we have anybody on for public comment? Okay, if there is anybody on and would like to raise their hand for public comment, please do so now. Okay. All right, well, thank you. Can I have a motion to conclude tonight's meeting?
I will make that motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All right, meeting adjourned at 7:50 PM. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the vote.
Yes.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, meeting concludes at 7:51 PM. Thank you.